You got to be saying, Brian, what the heck is that at this time of morning? Apparently, in the 1980s and in the early 2000s, whomever redid Astro Boy, the cartoon Astro Boy, big Japanese, one of the earlier Japanese cartoons. You know how you could tell the big round eyes. Astro Boy, I remember that from the 1960s. There you go. No, I'm not going to sing it for you. Believe me. Hey, good morning. Welcome to Brian's Beat. We just happen to be the only show born at the apex of freedom, entrepreneurship, and nomadism. You know it's a Saturday. It's a Saturday without rain. It is another one of those red alert Saturdays. In case you heard about the brush fire in Dartmouth over at the DNRT, that's all taken care of. But we do have the high wind advisory in effect, at least until 6 o'clock tonight. I don't know what happens at 6. It's like it goes home. It was at 6 o'clock last night, too, and 6 the night before that. At any rate, just be careful. If you smoke, don't be flicking your ashes and butts and just let them run around nilly-willy. The next chance of any rain is Monday. It is what it is sometimes. All right, ABC told you what they wanted you to know. My turn. We'll start by letting you know it is going to be a busy, busy day at the Boston Garden. The Bruins play this afternoon against the St. Louis Blues. The Celtics tonight against Toronto. Do you think the Patriots can make it 2 wins in a row? They had no problem doing 6 losses in a row this season, but can they put 2 together? They host the LA Rams tomorrow. And, of course, you can hear the game right here on WBSM. We started with the pregame at 10 a.m., kickoff a little bit after 1, and then we'll give you the whole postgame, too. What else? Let's see. We have 13 days until, well, Thanksgiving might not be lucky for everybody. 39 shopping days before Christmas. Here's what else is going on. We talked a little bit about it about a minute or so ago. No watering the shivering, wilted garden today. New Bedford has a ban on non-essential water use. In fact, many cities and towns in the Commonwealth have this non-essential water ban. Another restaurant is closing. Your Dog Mill on Kempton. End of next month. Bacon Hill lawmakers, they want to tell the state auditor who can audit the legislature. Now, you might be thinking, but didn't we just vote on letting the auditor do the audit of the legislature? Well, yes, you did. And nearly 72% of us voted for that to happen. But you know how folks are in the legislature. There's a reason why they are Bacon Hill lawmakers. Following your tax dollars, President-elect Trump says no more money for woke education policies. And the State Board of Education is looking for new ways to assess students for high school graduation. Now, you might be thinking, didn't you? Yeah, you did. Different group doing the same thing that the legislature is trying to do to the auditor. Dartmouth schools intend to continue with MCAS. What will New Bedford schools do? More after the Bryant's Beat quote of the day. Jim has his Town Square Sunday preview in just a little bit. The Bitcoin Biz Barometer, oh my goodness, that Mercury is going to go right out of it. We'll have more on that in our next half hour. The Bryant's Beat quote of the day after we learn just a little bit more about today, November 16th, 2024. Did you know that today is Guinness World Record Day? I suppose some world record was set on this day, and somebody was drinking a pint of Guinness, and it became Guinness World Record Day. Here's a stupid one. Have a party with your bear day. Now, who parties with a bear? Yogi and Boo Boo maybe, but I mean, really. Oh, and that kid. Remember the TV show? What was it? Gentle Ben. Clint Howard hanging around with a bear. Be serious about this now. Anyway, have a party with your bear day. International Day for Tolerance. The New Bedford fire lieutenant. I wonder if somebody's going to talk to him about that. We'll talk about that during the show today, too, if we have a little time. International Games Day. Another stupid one. National Button Day. I don't know. I really don't know. Buttons are important. You want to button your shirt. You want to button your pants. You want to button your jacket. You may even want to learn how to sew a button on. But to have a button day, and I know that there's some woman out there saying, Brian, button your lip. Okay. It's also National Fast Food Day. You know, do you have a favorite fast food restaurant? It could be a local place. It could be a national chain. But do you have a favorite fast food restaurant? For decades, it has been Burger King for yours truly. I might be changing. I don't do fast food anymore just because of, for health reasons. But if I do change from Burger King, it would probably be Five Guys, burgers and fries. I don't know. That's just me. I don't do the KFC thing after I figured out what they were doing to those chickens. Anyway, National Fast Food Day. It's also Playmobil's National Day of Play. Well, got a play day. Playmobil's National Day of Play. And it's also World Chronic Obstructive Pulmonary Disease Day. Try saying that fast 5 times. World Chronic Obstructive Pulmonary Disease Day. On this date in 1871, the NRA becomes official. They had a charter. The charter was approved, I believe, in the state of New York on this date, 1871. The Indian Territory and the Oklahoma Territory, they combined to make the Panhandle plus the rest of the state. And they became known as Oklahoma on this date in 1907. 1914, the first Federal Reserve Bank opens. Have you ever gone to a Federal Reserve Bank? I've seen the building. I don't know if it's a place I really want to go into, but whatever you may think, even though it has the name Federal, it is a private bank. They are private banks. They're scattered across the country. Boston happens to have one. On this date in 1945, UNESCO is founded. Now, if you're like me, and you probably don't want to be, but if you're like me, I never knew UNESCO was lost. But it's been found. Yes. After 1,730 shows on the Vegas Strip, Donnie and Marie Osmond performed their last show at the Flamingo on this date, 2019. I had no idea that they were still performing at this stage of their lives. And what I mean, that's 5 years ago. I figured their act broke up. So I didn't think that it went into the 2000s. But wow, 2019. Yeah, I guess my brain says, why not just keep the act going until December 31st as opposed to ending in November? Whatever, to each their own. And I'm not a fan of Donnie or Marie, but they certainly have their place in American performing music. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Okay, let us get to the Brian's Beat quote of the day. And it's a great one. I think it's a great one. You can always let me know if you think it's good, bad, or indifferent. It comes from Zig Ziglar. And Zig, I got to tell you, if you've never heard Zig Ziglar speak, he is a master motivational speaker. And this is one of the quotes I happened to come across it the other day. I'd heard it before, lost it in my memory bank like so many other things. But when I heard it, I said, yes, this has to be a Brian's Beat quote of the day. People often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. Now, that is Zig at his best. People often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. 508-996-0500. That's how you get onto the program for today. Okay. I'm driving in. I take Route 6. I go by the Country Chape and make my way past Walmart and go across Crossroad, and I go into BJ's to see, hey, what's the gas price today? And it's still $2.71 per gallon. It's been like that for a couple of weeks now. So I'm turning to head out, and I get on that little access back way. And what runs out in front of me? A coyote. And I looked at it and I said, you're a little bit bigger than normal. And the coyote took a quick glance and, just kind of scampered across the street. Kept a trot, but, a fast trot across the street. And I was thinking about that woman, Normore, who lives in Dartmouth and was bitten by a coyote about a month ago. There's a story that actually came out, and I'm not sure if it was the Substandard or the Dartmouth Weekly, one of the papers. Story came out, and basically it was telling folks not to feed the coyotes. Now I'm thinking to myself, what knuckleheads are feeding coyotes? Of course, there are folks, I mean, even the story talks about at Allendale Country Club. Allendale Country Club. You would think if you belong to a country club, you must be pretty darn sophisticated. So sophisticated that, well, there's some scraps. You're going to feed the coyotes. Anyway, yeah, you can guess it. People do feed the coyotes. So what do you think the coyotes are doing? Food comes from here? Well, I think I'm going to keep going back to the area where I get fed. Do you think that maybe somewhere near BJ's, that people are dropping food wrappers on the ground so people can, kind of get a hold of them? Yeah. Yeah. We, the yous and me's, we have to use our due diligence. Because the coyotes don't know any better. And it's not like we're going to pack them up in a crate and send them off to Asia somewhere. I know it is difficult for some of us to believe, but long before the Pilgrims discovered this area, never mind the Native Americans, the coyotes and the bears and the bobcats, they were here before us. Now, you know and I know that they're not going to go to town hall or city hall and try to get some type of deed for their land. But they don't know any better. And they're still foraging. So we know better not to feed them. We don't feed them. Maybe they don't bite us. Certainly, I'm not thinking about biting one of them. Just a thought on a pretty sunny day. All right, so I got that taken care of. Oh, what's the other one? Oh, restaurants. More restaurants closing down right here in the backyard. Welcome back. 508-996-0500. We have a busy show today. We have 3 different guests, Ross Grace Jr. and Chris Carter, the New Bedford School Committee. And the Dartmouth Superintendent of Schools is going to join us after ABC tells us what they want us to know at the top of the next hour. Now, I was driving in, as I like to do, going through downtown New Bedford, and I was going down William Street, letting the car just shake, rattle, and roll over the cobblestones. And I looked at Freestones, and I thought, you have been reduced to basically an AHA night type gallery. The price tag for somebody who wants to buy that building. Whew. Look, all the power to you if you've got the money. But I would really think twice about putting a restaurant in there. Another one closing down. It sounds like, if there can be such a thing as for the right reasons, your dog mill would be such a restaurant. Your dog mill at Kempton, about a block in from Rockdale, closing down sometime around December 28th. And the owner, she wants to retire. I mean, look, she's put in, I think, 30-some-odd years, not just as an owner, but as an employee. Her uncle, she bought it from her uncle. But the trend continues. Dough Company closing down, Rustico Mimi's, Carmine's, although we're told that Carmine's is being reworked into whatever. But restaurants are a tough business to try to open in the first place. They really are. But I see more of the mom and pop restaurants going by the wayside. I think they do a great service. I really like them. And New Bedford has, and I say New Bedford, I mean greater New Bedford, has a lot of great, what I would call mom and pop type restaurants. But it's difficult to compete against some of these massive chains out there. So what are you going to do? I mean, look, I like some of the chain restaurants, and I will continue to go to some of the chain restaurants. A woman friend, her birthday was Thursday. Last night, we decided to go out to dinner. We went to this restaurant in Tiverton. Sakonnet River Grill, I think is what it's called. Sakonnet River Grill, yeah. Excellent. You know, that's a locally owned type shop. Great food. We had phenomenal service. So they're out there. But I don't know, in this day and age, in the day and age that we are living in now, with fewer and fewer people going out to eat, sitting in restaurants. I'm not talking about Uber Eats or DoorDash delivering. People sitting in the restaurant and eating a full meal. And again, you could sit in Dunkin' Donuts. You can sit in Mirasol. You can sit in a lot of places. But I'm talking about having, you know, a 2 or 3 course meal. You know, it's not really happening like that anymore. And when I say, well, not really happening, and yes, I did last night, it's a matter of how many people are going and how often we go. 508-996-0500 is how you get onto the program. Let's Jim. Let's Jimmy on Jim in Studio 6 and 7/8. Find out what's coming up on Town Square Sunday tomorrow.
Here's what's happening this week on Town Square Sunday. The New Bedford Festival Theater is offering a wonderful holiday show, Home for the Holidays, on December 21st, 4 p.m., Steeple Playhouse on William Street in New Bedford. This Sunday, 2 stars of the show, Aaron and Matt Van, will give us a preview. Also, have an idea in mind about a project that might improve your neighborhood or community? You might want to touch base with the United Way of Greater New Bedford. The program is called Changemaker Grants. Victoria Grisella joins us to explain. And the Dartmouth Cultural Center is winding up the year with art exhibits in November and December. Center President Pauline Santos will have details. I'm Jim Phillips. Join us for Town Square Sunday. Sunday morning at 6 on 1420 WBSM and 99.5 FM.
Thank you very much, Jim. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin Business Barometer. Unbelievable. I don't know, at least since I've been involved with Bitcoin, if I have ever seen one Bitcoin with the spot price that it has this morning. $91,239, at least when I took the tally down not too long ago. $91,239. How does that compare to last week at this time? $14,665. It's up that much. Up more than 14,500 Shoblina. Whew. Wow. Ethereum is up $80 at 31.14. Solana at 219. It is actually up $19 from last week. Binance Coin is down $6 at 623. Dogecoin is moving right up there, 37 cents. It's up 17 cents from last week. I've got a friend who is hoping that with the amount of money that he put in to buy Dogecoin, if Dogecoin ever hits 75 cents a Doge, that's what I'm going to call it, 75 cents a Doge, he can retire for life. And you know what he's going to do? He is going to sit in the basement of his house and he's going to play video games. Now, I know you're laughing about it, but he's one of those that plays video games and knows how to make money. And his wife plays video games, and she, too, knows how to make money. XRP up 40 cents from last week at 96 cents. And Cardano's back in the top 7, 72 cents. And that's your Bitcoin Biz Barometer for today, November 16, 2024. Each and every week when you hear me do these numbers, I'm getting them from CoinMarketCap.com. CoinMarketCap.com. Why? Because they're updated every second. I can pretty much tell you that the numbers that I gave you over the past 90 seconds, they've changed. So go check for yourself. All right, let's hear from you. 508-996-0500. Thank you for your patience. Good morning.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Two things. Did you see that fight last night?
I did not. I was already in bed. But you know what? I question anybody who's getting into the ring at 58 years old.
Yeah, it was also rigged. I watched it. Tyson was barely hitting Jake Paul doesn't have the power. Mike Tyson could eat Jake Paul's punches all day. There's stories that Tyson got paid $60 million, and Paul got $25 million. But you got to remember something. Jake Paul promoted that, so they're both going to the bank today.
So wait, I just want to make sure Don King wasn't involved in this.
No, I think actually it had something to do with the WWE, honestly.
So what compelled you to watch that match?
Well, just out of curiosity. I want to see and I think everybody else did, want to see Mike Tyson knock that dude's head off because he's a clown.
Which one? Which one? They both clown. I was telling woman friend, it's going to be a battle of the tattoos. They both look absolutely ugly.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
It's unbelievable. Who would want to kiss that?
I sure as hell wouldn't. But yeah, Mike Tyson is 58 years old. And they were doing steroids because they put so much muscle mass on so quick and grew. But
you don't think Iron Mike still works out, huh?
I don't. He was smaller there for a long time. For about 5 years, he shrunk. He was smaller. He's only 5'10". When he used to box, they had him at 5'11 and a half because he used to wear a special sole on his boxing shoes.
So he can reach. So he can have some reach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to remember something. Rocky Marciano was only 5'10", and he never lost a fight. He hit like a big dude too. So.
But no, he didn't throw a punch like Tyson. He didn't throw a punch like George Foreman. I mean, Rocky was an arm puncher.
Yeah, but Rocky, if he did hit you, He's right up there with
But,
one of the hardest hitters.
I got every boxer, if they hit you, you're out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but
But
I'm just trying to say, as far as the power puncher, Rocky wasn't that. He was a great. There's no doubting his boxing acumen, but
he was a brawler, like Joe Frazier. He was a lot like Joe Frazier.
Yeah. Or no, Joe Frazier was a lot like him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when you're going to go against big guys like George Foreman, Sonny Liston, even Joe Louis, those guys will put you out.
Mm-hmm. Well,
they're hard. They're too hard. Even if you could take punches, and even Mike Tyson, they're too hard. You can't take that punishment all night. Now, Mike Tyson's 58 years old, but the last thing to go on your body is your hitting power. His hands are still registered. Jake Paul's only had 7-8 fights and only fought one real boxer. It was just fishy looking. I mean, you could check it out on Netflix.
No, I don't want to. If I really wanted to, I would have stayed up last night to watch it. But you know what? Let me put it to you this way. So if I were to stay up late on a Friday night, and I don't because I get up, I have shows that I'm doing today, I probably would have watched the UCLA Washington football game. Just saying, you know.
Well, you're talking about all these sporting events today. If they were on last night, more people would have probably been watching them than watching that Tyson fight.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't hitting Paul that hard. I think
he was hitting him to make sure that he could take $60 million home.
Yeah. Somebody already predicted it was rigged, and I had an idea it was rigged.
Well,
anybody that's seen it, I think, knows
boxing?
It was rigged.
Isn't that boxing? Isn't that what opened the door for this whatever it's called?
MMA?
Yeah. Because people got sick of watching routine boxing. I'm not saying that MMA is not rigged, but at least it looks more real than what we were seeing in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Yeah.
All right, man. Got to let you go, though. I appreciate the call.
I wanted to bring up something to you really quick.
Please.
I agree with you with what you were talking about with Barry yesterday. Okay, we're all jumping around about Donald Trump and MAGA and all that. Give it a few years, we'll have Democrats back in, and it just never ends. It goes back and forth,
it does.
back and forth.
Yeah,
it's never going to end. All right.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's sad. Sad. It won't end because, partly because folks won't let it end. Folks just won't let it end. And what do I mean by that? Donald Trump won. Here in Massachusetts, Donald Trump didn't win. Kamala Harris overwhelmingly voted. If Massachusetts was the only state, Kamala Harris would be the next president of the United States. The legislature, I didn't see any rollover. I didn't see anybody get the boot. Yeah, there are members like Rep. Strauss who are not going back. And there were folks that, like myself, who did not vote in many of the cases where there was just a Democrat running unopposed. But still, they win big in this state, and they are a machine. The Republicans are a machine. And the reason why the majority of people in the United States of America are unenrolled or independent is they don't want to be glued to either of the major parties. But when push comes to shove, they don't think that there's anybody that can compete against either Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck. And so they figure whichever way their feathers are going, and they vote for either Bugs or Daffy. And I'm trying to figure out how to get people to change that attitude. And then part of me says, well, why bother? You've got other things to continue, take care of your own economy. Let other folks do what they want to do. Let them, if people are happier than a pig in slop about what happened on November 5, great. Let's see what they're going to think in 2 years. And as we saw just 2 years ago, when the Republicans were supposed to have a big sweep in the House of Representatives and in the U.S. Senate, they didn't. Why? Because of a couple of Supreme Court rulings. So you never, and I say it right now, we don't know what is in store in 2025 leading into 2026 when the Supreme Court will hear a lot of cases and then make those pronouncements in the spring, summer of 2026. We just don't know. We'd love to say that we do. One thing I do know, Ross Grace Jr. is going to join us when we come back on Brian's Beat. We'll be back, 508-996-0500. My bad, and I do mean my bad. When I set up, I was texting somebody, and I texted the wrong person. They said yes, they'd come on to the program, and I found out, oops. And it was just a change of name. One name is the first name, the other name is the last name. And I said, got to be, I just, in the phone book incorrectly. Be that as it may, Dr. June Saba McGuire is going to join us after ABC at the top of the hour. Chris Cotter will be joining us through about the bottom of the next hour. So we do have time for you. There's a story that I basically caught wind of. And I thought, First Lieutenant, I got this from Colin Ferguson, New Bedford Light. First Lieutenant gets undisclosed punishment for anti-LGBTQ post. Now, as you know, I'm pretty much a stickler when it comes to the First Amendment. But apparently this guy, Lieutenant Chuck Bailey, he may have taken it a little too far. You tell me. He was talking about folks that do drag performances. He called it a mental illness. He put this up on, I believe, Facebook. The cross-dressing drag expletive is just utter bull expletive. F them all. He says homosexual relationships are sinful. Now, I don't personally agree with that, but this guy works for city government as a firefighter. There is nothing that I read in his post that tells me that he would not perform the duties of his job to the utmost. There's nothing that tells me, well, if he thought that you were homosexual or trans and your house was on fire, that he wouldn't try to put it out or try to save a life. Now, they say that this language could be deemed verbal or physical harassment. Well, there's nothing physical, but verbal. I don't know that it's harassment, but I think one could make a legitimate charge that there's some type of libel here, defamation, if you had a particular character. This is a broad statement, But one government is saying that a government worker can't do this. Your thoughts? 508-996-0500. Hello.
You want all my thoughts or just some of them?
Okay.
It would take a while. But I wouldn't want to do that to you anyway.
And I wouldn't want to take it. Go ahead.
There you go. Well, you were mentioning before the last break that after that other caller was on, that caller actually bragged about not voting in the election, and it's like, okay, whatever. But I guess that to each their own. But you were saying that some people vote like Bugs Bunny and some people vote like Daffy Duck, and you're trying to give them an alternative. What's the alternative? I didn't hear. We got cut off because it went to the commercial break.
So the alternative, there are alternatives, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to try to put one forward. I mean, there are parties out there. The Green Party exists. The Libertarian Party exists. There are parties that exist, but they don't get enough play. You don't get to hear what they have to say. And even if you heard what they had to say, it doesn't mean that you're going to vote for them. But if you don't know about them, then it's hard for you to make any other type of decision than Bugs or Daffy.
No, I get it. I voted Libertarian in the past, and a long time ago. And
you didn't see a result, did you?
Well, I think that Libertarians would do better in general if the left and the right party were more towards the center, because then people would actually look at Libertarian Party as a good choice. But if you got a far left and a far right, what ends up happening is the focus is on people on the far left and the people on the far right, and trying to win their battles, so to speak, almost like it's a war. I think that the right has the what do you want to call it? Republican Party has definitely moved more towards the center in this last election, because a lot of people crossed over to make that happen because they want to get stuff done.
And what did the Democrats do?
They did nothing different, which my guess is in the next election round, in the midterms, they're going to look far, far more toward the center. They're already starting to, the circular firing squad's going on right now. And when that's over with, then someone is going to wake up and say, well, we need to start to reject some of these policies that lost us voters on all levels. And I think that will happen. Hey, Nancy Pelosi just put her papers in yesterday. She wants to run again as a representative in California.
And unless she slips, she will win it in a landslide.
She'll win it in a landslide, and she's one of the parts of the problem for Democrats, because
I beg to disagree. She represents her constituents. And that's all that matters. Now, when you're talking Washington, hold on. When you're talking Washington, D.C. politics, those people in Washington are the ones that don't have to give her that big seat anymore, but they do. But as far as her constituents are concerned, she represents them well.
Well, I would say, from a constituent standpoint, although they just turned over the mayor in San Francisco. And they got rid of Gascon, and they got rid of, so they're, San Francisco can't stand it too long either, as much as they hold their nose and try to make it last. But what her problem is when she gets to Washington, and then when she's behind the scenes. I mean, she definitely was on the path to push Joe Biden out, and now she's complaining that Joe Biden didn't get out early enough. Well, you were the people pushing him one way or the other. You were the people telling everyone that he was fine, and then you turn around and say, well, we want to push him out, and then he didn't get out soon enough. Nothing sticks to her, and it's disappointing
that's why I say it's the folks in Washington that need to say, okay, you can still be a representative, but you're not going to have this kind of power anymore. But they're afraid to do that.
Well, let me ask you one more thing, and don't take it personal, but it's just a conversation about ideology. So you're libertarian, and libertarians want smaller government, right?
Correct.
But I heard you
Small
yesterday
government.
arguing on Barry. I heard you yesterday arguing on Barry's show about Vivek Ramaswamy and about Elon Musk and about the ideas of trying to make a smaller government, and saying that you thought it was a bad idea because they were creating a new department, but that department doesn't cost anything because they're not taking salaries. So, and even if they took a minor salary, and the people that they're asking to come and help, they literally say in the job description, there is no salary.
I understand that.
I would be happy to pay them $1 million if they saved us $2 trillion. You know what I mean?
All they're going to do is be advisors. They're not. After that, they have to then try to get it through Congress, and I don't see that happening.
No, that's not true, because they're advisors. You're right. They have no power to make change unless a president says that he's willing to go with whatever their suggestions are. But the president actually has power over a lot of the departments. Doesn't have to go through Congress.
Oh, he has power, but he doesn't have power over those unions.
No, he doesn't. But if they decided to eliminate a department, not an individual, the union has no say